Good evening, and welcome to Undercover. This is the show that usually looks between the covers of books by Missoula and Western Montana area authors. However, tonight we have a very special and different kind of show. My name is Dave Pauly. I'm director of the Missoula Public Library, and this show is jointly produced by the Missoula Public Library and the folks at Fact and Fiction Bookstore, along with some help from MCAT, Missoula Community Access Television. Our show tonight is unusual in the sense that we're going to be talking not to an author about their book, but to representatives of the 3 citizen boards that help us run the Missoula Public Library. And I'd like to introduce those people right now. First, on my left here is Dick Valenkity. Hi, Dick. And Dick is a member of the Board of Trustees, which is the governing body of the library appointed by local government. And then Elaine Shea, welcome.
Hi.
Elaine is chairperson of the Missoula Public Library Foundation, which she will be telling you a little more about later in the program and some of the things that they do. And finally, Jim Ware.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome, Jim. Jim is the president of the Friends of the Library, and he's also going to have some words about how the Friends help support us. Public library means that word public, I think, is key because it means that institution depends on the support that we get from the public. These 3 people tonight are representative of the kind of volunteer citizens that we have to have if we're going to be successful. And I'm going to be just speaking informally with them a little bit about what each one of the roles of the boards they serve on is. And first I'd like to start with Dick. I wonder if you could talk about some of the decision-making process that goes on on the Library Board of Trustees. You're the governing body, but I think probably a lot of people don't know what that really means. And you can even give specific examples if you want to of things that the library boards had to decide recently.
All right, Dave, I'll try to explain it as I understand it. I've been on it now for a couple of years. Basically, the Board of Trustees is an appointed board. My position is one of 5. I'm appointed by the county commissioners to serve for a 3-year term. Our duties are set by statute, and basically we review library policy, that is what kind of things are going to be in the library. We review what the physical needs of the library, and we review the staffing of the library and those type of things. A lot of our actual power, if you want to call it that, is limited by the budget process, which is of course just another part of the county. But we are an independent board in that we do oversee those parts, that part of the library.
Okay, thank you. Elaine, I probably a lot of people don't know what the Missoula Public Library Foundation is, so could you explain a little bit about that?
Well, the foundation, Dave, just takes the kind of operations that Dick was talking about a step further into planning for the future. The trustees often have the day-to-day sorts of things that they're thinking about and wrestling with the budget and trying to meet the needs. So the foundation looks beyond that point, and we want to say, how can the library, the Missoula Public Library, best meet the needs of Missoulians for 25 years to come? What collections are really important, and maybe the budget doesn't allow for those special kinds of considerations, and how can we solicit funding beyond what the ordinary funding is from the city and county governments? How can we solicit major gifts and approach foundations? We are a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization, and so we're eligible for many kinds of gifts. Sometimes there are people in our community who would like to give to a nonprofit organization, one like the library that helps so many different kinds of people, and at the time of their estate planning or when they're doing their wills, they like to know about such organizations. And so our job, the foundation board, is to be as visible as we can so that we can say, we are the type of organization that you're looking for. We will solicit funding and monies and major gifts and anything to really broaden our library's ability to serve people better, more efficiently and effectively and into the future. So we're really looking at those major gifts and funding and anything that will help our library do an even better job of what it's doing now and looking well into the future.
Thank you. And Jim, I guess maybe the Friends of the Library might be one part of this tripod that more people know something about just because there's a good-sized membership. But could you explain a little bit about the Friends of the Library?
Well, the Friends basically is an organization where anybody can join the Friends of the Library, and through their membership fee, which is $3 individual and $10 for a family, basically designate and contribute funds to the organization, and then we in turn support the library through buying various artifacts like shelving, and we bought a couple of photocopying machines. We helped buy a microfilm printer reader, and what we basically do is meet every month, and the library, the board of directors of the Friends basically listen to requests from you and from the library, and we decide if we can support that project or support that request for buying additional equipment for the library. Mostly it's equipment that we buy, things which the library needs, which is not provided in their budget. And that's basically what the Friends of the Library is for. It's enable people to designate money to the library and get money to the library, and it's spent on the library to support library services. And we buy books, we buy children's books, we buy shelving, and anything that comes along that we think we can support for the library. And that's basically what the Friends of the Library do. And it's a really good organization.
I guess maybe people might want to know or might think, well, the library is a tax-supported institution, and we do have a levy that provides part of our budget. But why then do you think it's necessary to have organizations like a foundation and like a Friends group? I wonder if either one of you could talk to that, or both of you.
Well, they really all of us work together, and we all have the same goal in mind, and that is to support the Missoula Public Library. But there are different ways that people can help. Some people like to give their time and their energy to fundraising projects, and they like to do perhaps smaller individual projects, and so they become active in the Friends. And other people may want to be involved, for example, with the foundation, because we can offer people who want to donate to the library major gifts. We can offer them that tax-deductible donation so that they can see that their money is not spent. There will be a corpus that will continue to build and grow into the future, and that can be very appealing for people who just want to have a gift that continues to give. And then, I don't want to speak for the trustees, but as a former trustee for the library, it was really exciting to make some decisions that really affected how the library was run and how the library helped people more. So it seems like all of the roles are very sort of compatible and work well with each other.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like just to say that the library doesn't have unlimited funds. It's tax dollars, and it doesn't have unlimited funds because we all know under the budget constraints that we don't have unlimited dollars. And this is a way for people really to give extra help. If you're really interested in the library, if you really want to help the library and participate in a much more direct fashion, then you can do it through the Friends of the Library by donating money or coming and volunteering. And it's extra help where people can put their own effort, their own community spirit. This is where they want to put their effort in the community. This is the way they can do it. And it just helps improve the service of the library. That's one of the things I see about it.
And I just back up what both Jim and Elaine have said, and that is that while we do get tax money, the tax money we receive, it's essential to the operation of the library. And we've been very fortunate in the past few years to get good budgeting from the county commissioners, allowing us to increase our books, our amount of books. However, while we've had good amounts of money these past few years, for many years the library was underfunded. Many people don't realize, but the Missoula Library is the busiest library in the state of Montana. We're busier than Billings, for example, which is the largest population area. So really the roles that the Friends and that the Foundation, hopefully, which is newer, are going to play are going to be very essential to helping the Missoula Library really be what it should be, which is open service to all members of our community.
I think that that's the beauty of it, that anyone is invited to participate and come to the library, and of course it hasn't cost any money in the past to get a library card, and so people have access to information. One of my first introductions to the library was when it was in the old building, and taking my children when they were very little. I remember they didn't have a bathroom there, but it was very important to go to the library and to get borrow those books. And then in the new library, Karen Reard asked me if I would be a volunteer, and this was many years ago, and she said, would you teach a class, it was one of the little classes that they had going. I think it was about whales or something, and that was so much fun for me to just start at that level, and I really want to support what Dick said, that there were many years when the Missoula Public Library had such a demand for its services, and yet it was not being supported fiscally with enough monies to keep it going, and that was very difficult. So it's so wonderful to see the community support now from the county commissioners who are giving thought, word, and deeds and actions to supporting the library. That's very important, and it shows. I mean, the library is well used, and it's used by a diverse number of persons. It's not just one part of our population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other thing I'd like to say, and that just, if I could, was that this is a very, sometimes when government grows, as Missoula is growing, a lot of the time people feel distant from the government organizations. But the Friends allows people to participate really directly and have a real interest in the library, because when they go up, I suggested we put little plaques on everything that the Friends of the Library buy. So if you go into the library and you're a friend of the library, you can say, I had a part in buying that, I had a part in providing this, and it gives them a real connection and a real say and a real participation in a very vital community organization, because I think the library is really central to our community, and it's a very direct way that they can participate.
And it's people.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's
Yes.
what's great about it. It's people. It's all the people that are connected and take ownership in the community and utilize the library.
Well, since you brought up the fact, Dick, that we are the busiest library in the state, people ask me, since I generated that PR when we got the figures, well, why is that? Why should your library be a busier library than another, say, for example, Great Falls, that serves about the same population, or Billings, which serves a larger population? And I don't exactly know the answer. I have some theories, but I wonder if any of you had a thought about why that should be.
Well, I think it's the staff. The staff are outstanding in what they do. The library is understaffed, according to national standards.
Yes.
And I think the staff do a wonderful job. I think they do an outstanding job with the amount of workload that they have, and I think their professionalism shows through. And I think that's one of the contributing factors. The standard of service in this library is absolutely superb. And I've been in a lot of libraries, and I know, so that's one of the reasons, I think,
And I think the library in and of itself is one of the really cultural pillars of any community, and I think that it's one of the things that, regardless of the economy, regardless of the nature of the person, it's something. The library usage is there. It crosses, as Elaine said, it crosses the entire spectrum of our society in Missoula. It is not those that you might want to say are intellectual. It's not those that are the university. It's the entire crowd, and all you have to do is come down and see it, and that's who we are there to serve. And I think Missoula, because of the nature, it's a growing community. We are also a crossroads. We have a number of people that come and go. We have the university community, and I think we have a diverse representation of the population, and all those things combined to make our library really the most used, which I must say, being on the board, was a surprise to me. Another surprise to me was really, just like Elaine said too, how nice it is to hear when we are getting something from the Friends or from the foundation. As you know, Dave, one of my favorite questions is how much money is in the foundation, because we're waiting to make our wish list. Because as generous as the taxpayers are and the commissioners have been in the realization of the needs, our library is growing so fast, and it's so important to the community, that we are going to have to rely more and more upon this private sector.
I like the collections at the library too. Not that they're adequate for years to come, but that we have some very good collections, whether we're talking about the children's collection or the business collection. I think there are people who come consumers who come to just use those specific collections, and the staff is very responsive. I've always felt that they invited our questions, or I could call up on the phone and just say, which Consumer Reports magazine dealt with bread machines, and they will have something ready for me. And I like that kind of individual attention, and I suspect that other people feel the same way, and that's why the library is always busy. You know, you're busy year-round.
Well, we sure are.
Just one other thing I'd like to say too, and I think one of the major factors in the success of this library is the public support, particularly for the bond issue for the Dynex computerization system, which I think is tremendous. It's really opened up and really made the operation of the library a great deal more user-friendly. And the public and the taxpayer support base out there also supports the library staff to give the service, and it's a self-supporting thing, I think. And also the loyalty of the Friends of the Library members, who have been so loyal over the years, and they just continue their support. And I think if people continue to give support, then you must be doing successfully or the right thing or whatever, because we never hear many complaints about the service out there. And I think the community supports the library staff. The library staff, in turn, gives back a good service, and that reinforces, and it's an ongoing thing. And I think that's very important in the library, at least from my perspective.
I would second that. The staff at the library is unique. It's very good, and they've done a lot in and of their own that are beyond the call of what their job descriptions ask for.
Seems
Dave
like you must.
himself wears 3 hats, I believe.
At least.
It seems like you work as a team too. I see a lot of cooperation among workers at the library, so there must be enough versatility and just some very bright workers who like people, and that shows.
Yeah. Actually, it's required that we be versatile. We really don't have much choice, but we are, I think. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about the recently completed 5-year long-range plan that Dick was instrumental in getting passed through the board. He served on the committee that revised and updated that. First of all, why is a long-range plan necessary, or what's the purpose of doing that, Dick?
Well, I think it's important. As I understand, when I got on the board, there was a long-range plan. And it's something that really is a part of the general planning device for us to look in the future, see where the library is heading. I believe that certain of the accreditation requirements require us to maintain some type of foresight, and I think it's important in a community that changes as much as Missoula and is growing as much that long-range plan be updated and reviewed. So the idea of it is basically to focus in on certain areas that our library is going to serve, where we're going to emphasize our collection, and where we're going to put the limited resources that we really have available.
Okay. I wanted to ask Elaine a specific question, since you're directly involved in local government. You serve on the Missoula City Council, and I've always been interested as a librarian in that dynamic of the relationship between local government and libraries. What do you think about that role of local government in supporting the library? You obviously think it's important, but what about local government's opinion generally of libraries and where they stand in the scheme of things?
I think, unfortunately, many times local government is so occupied with present tasks that they're involved in that they don't often take advantage of information, services that may be available to it to help it along. I know that there are some persons, both at the city and county level, who probably are frequently using the library. There's much possibility and potential for that in terms of different kinds of access information networks, and I can see that would be very helpful. I don't know how much really at the city level that is being utilized presently. I think that we could do a lot more with that. It seems like local government is just always struggling to, I think about when you're learning how to swim and you're kind of putting your fingers up and treading water. It seems like we're more into that reactive posture rather than sort of a proactive posture where we're really planning and doing well and then taking advantage of all the possible resources at hand. And I see that the library could have a major role in that.
What about the whole question of the future of the financial future of local governments? Are we in good shape in Montana or not? I know the state has some real problems, but how are we doing locally?
It seems like we're doing pretty well locally. At the city level, the city has the ability to make ordinances and charge fees for various things, and I think that's a plus, and it can also be a minus, and people don't like to feel like they're nickeled and dimed to death, and so that isn't always a benefit. It is to a person or to a city bureaucrat who's always looking for revenue. However, I think that we have to treat our customers just at as we would at the library, our citizens and taxpayers in the same way, that people understand what it is that they're paying for and the services that they receive for that, and always make sure that we're very courteous and businesslike in that process. And unfortunately, many times we're just such a fast-paced society that even in Missoula, sometimes people are shortchanged, and I think that's unfortunate. But basically, local government is doing well. I don't know what the legislature will say, but that's my gauge of it right now.
Okay. I already asked you about all of you about your thoughts about why we're the busiest library in the state. But Jim, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the public relations that the library has done recently, for example, the Friends newsletter, and what you think that means to increasing awareness of the library.
Well, the new newsletter, which we both worked on and had professionally done, and I think it's an outstanding publication. I think it's very professionally done, and it's a joy for me to work on it. I think it serves really two purposes. One is to keep the membership of the Friends of the Library informed about what we are spending their donations on, because I really feel that they need to know what the decisions the board is making, why we are deciding to buy those items, and I think they need to be kept abreast of what the purposes of the Friends of the Library is for, and also to put on an application for them to renew the membership. But I think, on the other hand, it also serves the newsletter serves the purpose of a publicity magazine for the whole of the library, not just the Friends. And we've designed it like that to give the library as much exposure as possible. And I think it's been instrumental in really bringing people's attention to the library. We've got some really good feedback from it. And I think what I'd like to do is to increase the circulation of it, as we've talked before, to go to other places like professional offices and to businesses in town, just to have some of the library newsletters in, say, doctors' waiting rooms, professional offices' waiting rooms, so that the library can become more a part of the community, and people realize there's a library out there and what resources it has. And also, if it's professionally done, then people get a good image of the library. And if it's not professionally done, then it reflects on the library itself. And I think it does nothing but good to promote the image of a good public library if you have a good newsletter. So it serves really two purposes. And the Friends of the Library pay for the newsletter, and that's another contribution to the running of the library, is our library newsletter. So it serves really two functions. And we've had really good feedback from that.
Yeah, we have.
I like that idea of, it seems very practical about the calendar that's being talked about now and developed, so that all the information that's happening locally, people would have access to, and the library would be take the major role in that process. I think that would be very helpful, not only to citizens, but to library users, and I applaud your efforts. We've long needed that.
Yeah, we have high hopes for that, and of course it's a joint project between us and the Cultural Exchange, so we're really excited about where that's going to be going in terms of just community information.
Yes.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, but I had this sort of generalized question that is kind of a philosophical one, I guess. First of all, I wonder what, if any of the three of you would like to talk about what you see for the future, specifically of our library here in Missoula, but maybe overall for libraries in the country. Do you have any thoughts about the future of libraries? Are they in jeopardy? Are they going to be around in 50 years, or are they going to be radically changed, or what do you think?
Well, I think libraries are going to become even more important in the future, because this age that we are living in is the information age. And people have got to know information, have access to information, because life is becoming much more complicated. Unless you have access to good, up-to-date information, both for business and private use, you're going to be left way behind. This is the information age. And I see libraries using much more databases and not much hard copy as ephemeral stuff which is in databases. And the ownership and copyright and use of that is another philosophical issue, which is not really debatable here. But I see libraries becoming even more crucial and central to any community, especially a growing one like Missoula that wants to attract new professions coming in here. A library is essential, absolutely essential.
I guess the challenge is how to expand, because right now you have a finite amount of space, and the Missoula Public Library has a growing audience, and you can have lots more programs and lots more computers, and just how do we meet the need?
We can put a second story on, no?
Good
The
idea.
building's designed for that.
Yeah, I knew it was.
Well, and
That's right.
I think the library, pretty much as Jim said, I think it's going to become only more important. And again, I believe that it's really one of the base requirements of any community's service to the citizens. I think every citizen has the right to have access to that basic information, and that it's one of the few services that has this broad a spectrum of our community in it. We become a reference library, we become a relearning center, self-educational. It's also a community center to a certain amount, and it's a continuous exchange of information. It's just essential to your part of citizenship. I think it transcends just a luxury.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for being my guests today on Undercover. I appreciate all your good comments about the library. Again, let me just reintroduce people so you make sure. Dick Valenkity is on the Board of Trustees for the library, which is the governing board. Elaine Shea is the chairperson of the Missoula Public Library Foundation, and Jim Weir is the president of the Friends of the Library. In the last few minutes, I want to make a few comments about things that are happening, as I usually do, down at the library. First of all, in February, we'll be starting up our ever-popular story hours again, and those we run a morning one, an afternoon one, and an evening one. And if you want to get more information about those or find out about when they'll be held, call us at 721-2665. That is 721-BOOK. Also, I want to mention another program that has been around a little while now. I used to say it was a new program, but it no longer is. But it's a very successful program, and that is Book Babies, which we have every Wednesday evening, the first Wednesday evening of every month at 7 o'clock. And that is for babies ages birth to 24 months and their parents. We have a little time for sharing some stories and finger plays and flannel board and that kind of thing for the babies. We also get a speaker to come in and talk to the parents about all kinds of subjects, raising kids, finding good daycare, good nutrition, that sort of thing. So again, you can call us at 721-BOOK if you want any information about that. Finally, I want to put in a plug for the Adult Book Discussion Group, which meets the third Thursday of every month. And we have been discussing contemporary novels. If you're interested in that, you can call and talk to me or to Christine or to Betty. That's kind of a fun and fairly new program that we're offering at the library.